is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this. Beautiful, delicious, tender, smoky, juicy, amazing, Jamaican-esque style smoked oxtails with some butter beans. Coming up. These are some oxtail. Pat them dry. And what I got here is some pretty typical oxtails. Picked these up at my local grocery store. Nothing too fancy here. But as you saw, these come in a pack, and we've got a couple really nice fatty ones like that. But of course, we're gonna get some of these little tiny guys as well. But these are good for the braise and also pretty fun to gnaw on. And I gotta say, I'm pretty excited to cook these oxtails because it has been years since I cooked oxtails. And that's probably because they've gotten really expensive over the years. Much like brisket, beef ribs, or beef cheeks, what was once considered a trash cut has now become a delicacy because people figured out how to cook it properly, thus driving the price up, which is not great. And I knew they were gonna be expensive, but I think they're like $9.80 a pound, which is just awful. But much like a beef cheek or a short rib, these are a really tough piece of meat full of collagen and connective tissue and fat. But when cooked low and slow, all that collagen breaks down and turns into gelatin, and we should end up with some really tender, unctuous, delicious shreds of beef. And when cooked down properly, they should be nice and tender, and it's basically like a bone-in beef cheek, or a beef cheek meets a beef rib. Very tasty stuff. But to get these started, we're gonna give these a once over. I'm not really gonna do much. If there's any excessive fat, I suppose you could take that down a little bit, like that chunk right there I might take down just a little bit, although it's completely unnecessary because we're gonna be smoking these and braising them, so all that fat should render down, along with all the silver skin on the outside. And I should say right up front that this is not gonna be a traditional Jamaican oxtail, although I am gonna borrow some of the techniques and flavors from the Jamaican version, but add a little barbecue flair and some lovely flavor. So if you are Jamaican, please don't yell at me too much. Because traditionally the first step for a Jamaican oxtail is to wash these down and scrub them with lime and vinegar and all that, but I'm not gonna wash them, nor am I gonna marinate them, which would be a great idea, but this is a pretty lengthy process already, and I wanna cut down and make this a one-day meal and treat it a little bit more like a barbecue cut. So first thing we need to do is get this rubbed down. And per usual for any piece of beef that I'm gonna be throwing on a barbecue pit, my seasoning of choice is some good old-fashioned SPG, that's salt, pepper, garlic. Help build up a bark and add some lovely flavor. And one other thing I'm gonna use is some browning, and this is a pretty common ingredient in a lot of Jamaican recipes. And honestly, I've always wanted to try using it as a binder because it should really add some nice color and help with the bark. But because that stuff is so dark, I'm gonna do this on a pan. Just go down with a little bit of this stuff because it is really dark. And it will act like a binder, helping all of our rubs stick. Just get that all mixed up. Little bit goes a very long way, folks. And looking at the back of the label on that sauce, it's primarily just food coloring, which tells me that it's probably not a traditional recipe for browning. So we may have to look into that. But honestly, that looks pretty good already. And now we go down with some of our SPG. Don't have to be too careful at this point because we can always taste and adjust the braise at the end if we need more salt. But just getting a nice coating now to help build up that bark, get some black pepper added to the party, and begin the seasoning process. Flip these over. And do our best to get all sides, because we don't want to forget the sides. Be a rookie move. Just get these all tossed up, and that is looking pretty much perfect to me. Let's go ahead and fire up the pit. Good Lord, that's a straight up log. Matt's just over here adding more really old, awesome vehicles to the collection. How old is that Airstream?
1962.
1962. Are you living in that now?
Maybe.
And on the pit we go. Got the old Chud box fired up. It's sitting right around 250 right now, but it'll probably keep climbing up to about 300 degrees, which is where I want to keep it. And I gotta say, the color on these is insane. I mean, I know it's called browning, so that makes sense, but Matt literally just asked me if he's already came off the pit. So definitely gonna try that on a brisket. Might be cool. But the name of the game here is just to get some color on these, build up some bark, get some smoky flavor. Because these are full of fat and connective tissue, we should get some good dripping going out for that direct heat flavor, which I'm all about. But we are gonna be braising these at the end of the day anyway, so this part of the cook really isn't all that important as far as internal temp goes. More just about building some layers of flavor. Beautiful. Gonna shut this down, maintain some temps, and probably cook them for a couple hours. This video is brought to you by Graza. I've been using Graza for a very long time, and it's honestly one of the best olive oils I have ever had. Graza is the highest quality, single origin, never blended olive oil at an affordable price. It tastes great and is a lot less expensive than some of the fancier olive oils you're gonna see on the shelves. It's made in Spain from a single type of olive to ensure quality, consistency, and freshness. But my favorite part about Graza, other than the flavor, has got to be the form factor, because for the longest time, whenever I get any cooking oil, first thing I'll do is put it in a squirt bottle just like this, and for some reason, these always end up super greasy. The oil just kind of seeps out somehow, and there's no cap on the top. And the ones that do have caps on top either get in the way of your drizzle, or I lose them, or they chip off. But with Graza, they've got this nice little twisty cap on top, making sure everything stays in there. It's not a see-through bottle, meaning this will stay fresher longer and not oxidize nearly as quickly. Makes using it super convenient, and it looks pretty good on the shelf. And the Graza trio includes Sizzle, the everyday cooking oil for sauteing veg and general cooking purposes. Drizzle, this is your finishing oil, great for salad dressings or dipping your bread into, or anytime you want to add some extra flavor to a dish. And now they got Frizzle, this is your high heat cooking oil, great for frying, baking, great for grilling, and this is a little more neutral in flavor, so it's going to replace your canola oil, avocado oil, vegetable oil, that sort of thing. But it's still really high quality olive oil, non-blended, no seed oils or anything like that, and this stuff is great. And they sell it in spray form. And between these three, all my oil needs are covered. So if you're in the market to get some of the best olive oils available, click the link in the description box of this video or scan the QR code on screen now to get 10% off the trio of Graza olive oils. Again, click my link to get 10% off your order using code CHUDS10 at checkout. Thank you, Graza. Next up, let's go ahead and get our braise started for these oxtail. So I saw this video online yesterday that apparently if you smack ginger, it becomes perfectly diced. Let's find out. That was way too loud. I don't know where it all went. A little too much mustard on that one. Let's try it again. Yep, that works pretty well. Spent about an hour on these oxtails and they are looking absolutely beautiful. Looking nice and brown still, but definitely starting to get some good color on there. Some direct heat smoke is in the air, smelling very good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and flip all of these over just for even cooking and even browning. But I mean, just look at that color, come on. How could this be bad? I'm also gonna scoot all these over to one side. And that's because Matt wants to cook some ribs, so we'll free up some space for him over here. Spread these coals out a little bit. To get our braise started, we're gonna start out by going in with some sizzle, healthy amount, followed by 1 yellow onion, 1 green and red bell pepper, and our ginger. And get that cooking down. Also going with a big fat pinch of salt at this point. And this is just a rough chop on these veggies because they are likely gonna break down during the braising process, so no need for precision here. But just trying to sweat these down. And after sweating down for about 10 minutes, everything's starting to look nice and soft, but not browning too much. So in we go with a few more ingredients, including some tomato paste. And get that mixed in and start toasting on the bottom of the pot. Followed by our garlic. And as always, Scotch bonnets would be more traditional here, but I can never find them. And whenever I do see them around town, I'm not making a Jamaican dish that day, but one day it'll line up, hopefully. But a habanero will work out just fine. We're starting with 1 to see what kind of heat level we're working with because these are red and I'm pretty sure that means they're super spicy, but we can always add another one later during the braise. Also at this stage, I'm gonna go in with our ground allspice, which smells very good. All of this is smelling incredible. And just when you think all that tomato paste is gonna burn to the bottom, in we go with some beef stock. This is some homemade smoky gelatinous beef stock, which should add a lot of flavor, but it's pretty thick, so I'm probably gonna water this down a little bit. But if you're using store-bought, make sure it's low sodium and just use all beef stock. Be sure to deglaze the pan. Last ingredients going in include the juice from 1 lime, brighten it up a little bit, some brown sugar, soy sauce, some ketchup, some more browning seasoning. Stuff is jet black. Fresh thyme, and some green onions. And now we're just gonna bring this up to a simmer. And here we are at about 2.5 hours in, and these guys are looking really good. Nice and juicy, beautiful color on these, and off they come. And just like a beef cheek, these are probing pretty hot, you know, 160s to 180s, but they still feel tough as nails. So we're gonna go drop them in the braise and finish that cooking process, but they should have some wonderful smoky flavor on them. Over on the stove here, I've got our braise simmering away. I already pulled off all the little tiny guys because they got done pretty quickly, so they've been in here for about half an hour. And now we go in with everything else. And I gotta tell you, it smells so good. Smell that habanero already. Nice and fruity, a little bit of spice in the air. But we just wanna make sure these are all in there and fully submerged. Cooking away at a nice gentle simmer. Gonna pop a cracked lid on there. Let this go for the next few hours. And there are several ways you can go about doing this. In the past, I did a video a while back where I got to this stage and I home feed them like a beef cheek. That was very tasty. Or you could throw whatever you want in your braise. And honestly, you probably could just use water instead of beef stock because there's so much collagen and gelatin in the oxtail themselves that you'd end up making your own beef stock. But at this point, we're just gonna keep simmering away for the next few hours until they are impossibly tender. So it's been about 2.5 hours on that braise, and some folks have showed up playing some games. Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
But this is smelling real good. Bubbling away, looking nice and tender. Just been going through and poking it, and it feels like butter. So at this point, I'm gonna kill the heat, and now I'm gonna go in with some good old-fashioned butter beans. It's traditional, and they're delicious, but these are canned. I rinsed them out, fully cooked. We're just gonna let these steep in here while we let all of this meat cool down a little bit, which should heat these beans through. But look at that guy. Oh, wants to fall apart. But we're gonna let that cool down for a little bit. I honestly didn't expect anyone to show up today. It is a Wednesday night after all, but you know, that just happens at the Chud shop sometimes. And Matt James appears to be cooking some salsa, if I was a betting man. Cole is here as well, making a pork steak. Looks pretty good. Chud box has been running all day long. And we got Matt's ribs too, so we're not going hungry tonight. But at this point, I'm just gonna let those things cool down in the braise for a little bit. That's really gonna help retain some flavor and let them cool down a little bit. Then we'll take them out, plate them up, and see how they taste.
That's so good. Very good. It's so good.
Spicy. You heard it here. So good.
Cannot beat the direct heat. So after letting these cool down in the braise for about 30 minutes, they're down to about 160 internal and looking very nice and jiggly. Pull them out of the braise, and then we strain the braise out, leaving us a big pile of vegetables and butter beans, and reduce the liquid down to about that much, which is super flavorful. It's very tasty. I might drink some. We'll find out. But looking at these guys, they are super tender. They're super squishy. I'm honestly surprised they are staying on the tails or the bones or whatever is in an oxtail. A lot of cartilage. But they're cooled down, and we are ready to dive on in with our side of beans and extra jus if we need it. So to plate this up, we're gonna grab some of our butter beans, and we're gonna make a nice little pile next to our mound, our oxtail mountain. All that veg cooked into these beans is gonna be so good. Smell the habanero from here. And then on top of our mountain, we're gonna drizzle down some more of that gravy, that sauce, just for that nice glisten. Make sure it's extra flavorful. And there's a lot of fat in this sauce too, so we know it's gonna be tasty. Oh yeah. And then just for a little freshness and a bit of color, we'll go down with some green onions right on top, because that just looks good to me. And just like that, folks, a big juicy pile of oxtails with some soft looking butter beans, and it's glistening, and I'm just ready to dive on in. And we got all this jus. Oh, or gravy. Not sure what to call it, but let's see if they're tender. Been a long time since I had a good juicy oxtail, folks. This is one of the bigger ones. We got some tiny ones in there too, but it's looking sticky, it's looking glazy. Let's see if it's nice and tender. Yep. Oh my God. I said it earlier, it's like if a beef cheek and a beef rib had a baby. It's like a beef cheek on a bone. Nice and fatty, nice and tender, and look at this, it just pulls right apart. Oh, gotta love it. Ah! Not gonna lie, I am very impressed with how much effort that habanero put in, because there's only one pepper in there. And we were gonna add the other one. We've got two more sitting right over here that we're gonna throw in at the end if it needed it, but that kick is coming through, which is impressive for a single pepper to affect that entire pot. But it's not exactly spicy, but it's definitely there. You got that kind of warming spice from the allspice in the background. It's succulent, it's juicy, it's tender. I mean, what more do you need? Let's see how these beans came out. I love a good butter bean. Honestly, I've never even made a butter bean before. I've just had them at Opie's plenty of times, but all that veg cooked in there too, all that spice from the braising liquid. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, that's worth making this all by itself. That is so good. Nice and tender, couldn't be easier. And we get to eat all the vegetables, which is always a good thing. I like it. Can I interest anyone in some smoky braised oxtails with some butter beans?
Yeah. Butter beans?
I've got gloves. They are pretty sticky. Or you just dive on in.
Just anywhere?
Anywhere. Choose your favorite.
I want that big one, but it's too much to hold.
That's amazing.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll take it.
Kind of like these little tiny guys.
Holy cow, that is flavorful.
Just right off the bone.
Beautiful.
It's got that like sticky, unctuous quality to it.
Got some heat.
I love
Right?
everything with like a.
That's what I was just saying.
It does have a slow heat that's not on the front.
That
front
one
end.
pepper, man, really held
one
its own.
habanero.
Oh my god.
I love. It's not like I know a lot of people don't like gamey, but I do, and it's like the perfect amount of. I think everyone would like it.
It reminds me of like a roast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely roasty,
Yeah.
braisy.
Very roasty.
It's honestly surprising that it's staying on the bone, like because it's so tender, you could flake it off. I think it's
Yeah.
all the gelatin and collagen, like kind of like a beef cheek, just holding itself together.
It comes right off when you bite into it.
Yeah.
Have you had oxtails before?
I've never had an oxtail before.
Really?
No, first time. It's delicious. What's in here?
All right, beam me up, Scotty.
Bean me up, bean me up, bean
I like the
me
butter beans because it was like the
downtown.
easiest part of this recipe. Just open a can and dump them in.
Oh my god,
That's tasty.
So good.
that is really good. All right, you need to pack this up so I can put it in my freezer.
Okay, I like it.
The beans are good, but the meat,
Yeah, star of the show.
It's a good pairing though.
Not being a weenie, right? Like there is a kick to this.
there's a kick.
Yeah, there's-
Okay, good.
That heat really comes through.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Like in the meat. Like you can taste that heat.
Red habaneros, spicy. Oh, there he is.
Oh, that's nice. Tender and sticky. Good spice.
I see the official taste tester is not far away.
She is always at your feet. All right, it's time for the official taste test.
All right.
Oh God, he did it!
Oh, he did it. That's it, folks.
All right, call the plumber.
I'm going in for this.
Oh, you're supposed to be hot?
Okay, Charlie. You get it? Get it? 'Cause that's his Instagram handle. Go follow.
There's no reason in 2025 that oxtail should be $8.99 a pound, $9.99 a pound.
It makes no sense. And with this very last bite of oxtail, I think it's time for the official taste test. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely fantastic, smoky, Jamaican-inspired oxtails. I highly recommend giving this one a try. You know, oxtails are a super fun cut to play around with. Whether you confit them or braise them, you can throw them in a crock pot, throw them in the oven. They're a very forgiving cut because you're just cooking them until they are impossibly tender. And because of all the collagen and gelatin in there, they tend to not fall apart, which is great, but then they give you that melt-in-your-mouth, velvety texture that we all know and love. And definitely something I'll be making again very soon. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you do give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.